Topic Thunder, it's Topic Thunder. Just acknowledge it, knowledge with no scholarships. It's Topic Thunder, it's Topic Thunder. Breaking everything down, tech to politics. It's Topic Thunder, it's Topic Thunder. We don't tell you what you want, we just give you what you need. It's Topic Thunder, it's Topic Thunder. News, brews, and views from these Chi-Town streets. Topic Thunder.
Yeah, hey, welcome into Hockey Night and Topic Thunder. My name is Brooks, and that's Ben, and welcome into the show, ladies and gentlemen. We didn't pre-plan any of this. We got Ben rocking a North Stars jersey there, and I'm rocking my favorite Quebec Nordique sweater. So again, welcome into the Internet Saloon. As I'm gonna quickly translate into a Shorzy fucking accent. Welcome into the show, you fucking losers. It's Topic Thunder, folks. We fashion ourselves as not only the Internet Saloon, but a birthplace of weird and unmarketable accents. Take your tarps off, boys. Welcome into the program. It's Topic Thunder 143 for all of you keeping score at home, because I am. And if you're new to the program, well, welcome in. This is what we advertise as the Internet Saloon. Ben and I fashion ourselves as info tenders, and we pour conversation into the cup. Where is that cup located? The world's most dangerous chat zone. We call it the Thunderdome. It's very creative. And that's where we already have a bunch of luminaries and VIPs already shown up. We got Dan Effer Brooks. We got Ma Jordan. We got the eternal Ryan Hansen, and Chris. And they, folks, if you heard the opening to Topic Thunder.
The open to the open.
The open to the open before the Hockey Night. And all the Hockey Night in Canada intro. That was done by my friend. They call him Biz. And you can really help him out, small business owner, by checking out his website at getshisty.com. It's simply get shy, CHI, STEE, get shisty, get it.com for some of the coolest OG Chicago, I think they call it streetwear. I don't know what these kids are calling it these days, Ben.
No, but it's cool stuff all across the board.
Across the board. You got hoodies, you got sweaters, t-shirts. As we do, ladies. Oh, the libations of lucrative illumination. Woo! Yes, thank you, Bobby Suzuki, into the program. Welcome. As we want to do, we open the show with a little bit of libation. Nothing special this week, folks. We haven't seen the sun here in Chicago, and it seems like 18
They
months.
call it Riz, she says.
Babe, that's that. I've got the Riz, folks. And I've got a burning case of the Riz. That's why the doctor.
Whoa! TMI.
Oh, sorry. I went to the clinic. Hey, I went to the clinic. And what the doctor say?
Just rocking black cherry unsweetened water right now. That's
it's a Kirkland brand, the Costco,
a staple of the show at this point. It's a go-to. It's the fallback. If there's nothing special going on during drinks, the fallback is the Costco. Is it Costco? You said?
Yes, I did.
Costco brand, Kirkland.
It's the fallback. It's funny you say it because this is the mallback.
Like us both wearing hockey jerseys, completely unplanned. The kismet we have, the stories that we come up with to each other. I mean, it's you and
it's
I.
Insane because
we're on the same wavelength.
Not only are you and I on the same the wavelength here, we're riding this thing. We're riding this thing here. Right. That handshake is so cool. Like, it's iconic, right? But Gigi and I were swapping stories. Like, oh my god, I was going to talk about this. And she sent a link. And then Tipton Moscow also sent a link in, and I was
Ryan
like,
Hansen too. Every once in a while, so the crowd, we're all in sync here. We're all becoming one mind unit here. Did I come up with a new word there? Mind unit.
Mind unit. It sounds like a Queensryche album.
It does. I don't know Queensryche, but it sounds like a metal album.
If you're watching this on Twitch, you have no idea what Queensryche is. You're so young.
Yeah.
I mean, for the rest of us geezers, Queensryche is a really cool band before
we're the Thunder Hive. Yes, we're becoming the Thunder Hive.
Right.
The collective.
We call it a community, really, and that's what this again. We're just here for the conversation. Ben and I obviously do most of the talking, but all of the really cogent and cool aspects and points of the show come from the Thunderdome. So, folks, let's just get right into it, shall we? With headlines. Come on up with a different title or a more creative one. I dare you.
Right.
Email us at something@gmail.com. Go ahead.
We should have a contest to rename this segment.
Things we want to talk about, but Brooks decides not to bring to the show.
Yeah.
All right. Often we try to dig through the headlines to find stories that we find are meaningful in other ways that aren't necessarily stage worthy.
Right.
Does that make sense? Right.
Yeah.
That will eventually become noticeable and important along the way. Sometimes we just talk about what's going on right now. And Ben, before we get into the segment here, we're going to talk about the Taylor Swift thing.
The phenomenon that is the NFL meets Taylor Swift.
Oh, it's become so much more than that.
Two giant cultures. It's amazing. It is really a phenomenon in a true sense. And I'm not exactly sure where you're going with this. I know a clip. I did not hear the clip before. I just know where we're going with this somewhat. But it is It is a fascinating pop culture story to see, without question, the biggest sport in this country and arguably the most recognizable team in the entire country, and one of the most recognizable players for that most recognizable team in the most recognizable sport in the entire country, is dating easily the biggest pop music cultural influencer on the entire planet. And those are two giant cultures that have nothing, that before this moment knew very little about one another.
It's a beautiful
very, very little about one another. And then they collided together. And it has become fascinating because sports fans cannot handle it. They cannot fucking handle it. I love it. I'm here for it. Francesco.
I want to say ciao to Francesco from Wrestling Cafe Podcast in Italy. Welcome into the program.
Join us on YouTube. Thank you.
It is pretty incredible.
Spread the word, please, if you enjoy yourself.
Sure. And Gigi brings up a really great point about this story. And Francesco, you might be able to relate because soccer, as we call it here in the States, is not football as they call it everywhere else. But is this not our Posh Spice and Beckham kind of relationship?
Yes.
And this is not where I was going with this conversation, but it's an astute point by Gigi there, that this is the same type of media hype, and that's honestly, cut to the chase, and no surprises. Here's the secret. This is just media hype. That's it, media hype. Isn't it amazing that we have these parallels in football, right? Talk about synergy, right? Football across it. And the fact that we have a strong female presence who's a billionaire on her own, like she's legit, like on a different level than Travis Kelce.
Right. Oh, yes. A much bigger level. Yeah.
We're not talking about the cheerleader and the star football player here.
Right. Correct.
But it does kind of strike that romance, that American sweet, like John Cougar Mellencamp romance, right? Here's a story about Taylor and Kelsey.
Right. Taylor and Travis.
Yeah. Travis. I think we are aligned on, and I think most of the people in the Thunderdome, including
Derek, is freaking me out. You're always on top when we have.
That's what I advertised on Hinge, and it got me GG.
Right? I mean, you're in our little situation here.
I'm not a bottom.
You're always the top. Am I correct? Am I incorrect here? Am I going crazy here?
I don't know. I don't care. I'm pretty free.
It's freaking me out.
Free Willy. Just a stone cold no.
Just no.
Yeah, I'm gonna hear about that later, but that's okay.
Okay.
So back on track to this. The point of this was I was trying to kind of sum up how I felt about this, and I'm not a fan, particularly of Colin Cowherd.
Yeah,
we don't
an acquired taste.
He is a very acquired taste, an agitator. He does his job, and he does it well.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He gets likes. He's got contracts. He's jumped between ESPN and Fox. He's got a podcast. The dude's
he's not afraid of a hot take or two.
And that's how you build a brand, right? That's why we kind of stay in the middle of things. He's a very successful businessman and marketer in that regard. So we take all of that with a grain of salt. But for the next almost 4 minutes, bear with me. The next 4 minutes, and we could bail on any of this, but he does a good job of bringing us from point all the way around to point.
Perfect. Yeah, when he gets on a point that you agree with, he's a great storyteller. Make no mistake about it. He is made for radio, and he's transitioned to television good enough that it's still a radio show. It's just a televised radio show in the vein of Howard Stern.
Topic Thunder.
Or Topic Thunder, yes. And he's very good at when he gets on a point, keeping it within like a 4 to 5 minute block and telling you the whole story. So I'm very interested to see what his take is on all of this. So.
Let's go.
There's a lot of really weird, lonely, insecure men out there. The fact that a pop star, the world's biggest pop star, is dating a star tight end who had one of his greatest games ever, and a network puts them on the air briefly, that it bothers you, what does that say about your life? Judge people sometimes on the silly stuff that bothers them. It'll tell you a lot about them. When I hear this whole thing about Taylor Swift, I just want to watch football. Liar. You're lying. That's not true. A football telecast is not just football. In fact, the commercials for 4 hours before the Super Bowl will be widely watched. Did you know statistically in a 3.5-hour NFL playoff broadcast or regular season broadcast, just 18 minutes are actual football? And we have the data, we have the numbers. You don't turn away. There's coaches cutaways. They show fans in Buffalo on fire, commercials, reviews, 18 minutes of real football. For the record, about the length of 5 Taylor Swift songs. Listen to this. The New York Times measured how long she was actually on the broadcast. Do you know how long it is on average? 25 seconds in 3.5 hours. Against the Ravens, it was up to a whopping 32 seconds. It was 14 Chiefs and Raiders on Christmas, 12 Chiefs and Bengals, 24 seconds, Buffalo, Kansas City. She was on for a minute against the Dolphins, but it was an absolutely awful broadcast. They should have had a concert in the middle of it. That would have been more interesting. And why wouldn't CBS, which you know has the Grammys, cross-promote the world's biggest pop star? Ding. Hey, listen, I worked at the other network. I work at Fox. I've seen us jam people on TV shows I would never watch during football games and sporting events. Don't forget to watch this right after the game. I've already forgot about it. Let's get back to the game. But I don't have to rush to social media. I'm okay with it. Here's the other thing that strikes me. Matthew McConaughey. All right. Love him. Drake on everything. Spike Lee, Knicks games. Eminem, Michigan sporting events. We celebrate it. 80s, 90s, Jack Nicholson Laker games is cool. Saw Jack. But a talented and beautiful woman is on the air, one who would never pay attention to lonely men, and it bothers them. There's a stat out there, it's kind of uncomfortable for you sad guys, that 50% of men never have real intimacy with a woman. That means the other 50% have multiple intimate relationships with women. And those ones that don't are angry and sad and lonely, and they are often misogynistic and resent women who didn't give them the time they think they deserve. We celebrate all these goofballs jumping on tables in Buffalo and cheese hats and men and Matthew McConaughey and Drake and Jack Nicholson, men and Eminem, and it's cool, and can I get a selfie, and I can't believe I saw. And a young, attractive, beautiful, talented woman comes on for 25 seconds. And you're bothered. Again, judge people by the silly things that bother them. This says nothing, this anger. This says nothing about Taylor Swift. It says everything about the men bothered by it.
Bingo. Yeah, nailed it.
Nailed it. Is it again, like
succinctly wrapped it up, hit all the points that were necessary to drive it home. Very, very well said. Yeah.
I would expect as much from I believe is a former attorney.
If not, he's he is a long time sports radio guy. So the idea of, and he's always done a solo show, which is also very unique in sports radio. Very rare for you to have it, because sports talk needs to usually have two people talking. He has a person that reads the news, that like a Robin Quivers, if you will. He has that role,
top and bottom of the hour news,
right? And he interacts, maybe throughout the half an hour. Well, maybe, oh, hey, what do you think, Robin? His own Robin. I don't know who it is at this point. It used to be Joy Taylor, but she moved on to other things. But he's done it solo, so he is used to orating his points in a very succinct but also detailed way, that he's just a master at his craft when it comes to that. You may not agree with all of the things that he says. And as a sports fan, you can be very little that you agree with
right.
him, but you cannot say he does not make his point in a very eloquent, detailed, well thought out way. He doesn't just say things without giving you reasons why he feels the way he feels.
I just thought like Mike North, but only two of us on the show right now.
Right. Yeah.
Right,
Chicago sport, old school Chicago sports radio. But yes, same idea.
Mike North. Mike North had no idea what he was talking about. And here's the dude who knows exactly what he's talking about. And as you said, eloquently able to discuss that.
Yeah.
There's a million other, as the Thunderdome is pointing out, intricacies to this whole entire thing. It's really weird that in the midst of all of the other things going on in the world right now, our country included, that this is such a hot point that that inflames emotions, and people lose their shit and aren't able to rationally, logically come to decisions and make statements. But I guess here we are. We've long talked about the inadequacies of the underdeveloped male ego. I think we're kind of looking at this right now, right?
Yes, sir.
Speaking of those other things that might be just a wee bit more important, just today.
Shit! Here we go.
Just today.
They've been sitting back. We talked about this last week. They've just been kind of hanging back, Brooks, and now here we are.
The entire internet and the idea of the World Wide Web, we take a lot for granted. In fact, every single one of us absolutely have no idea what our lives will be like at this point if the internet was just suddenly taken from us. That's how powerful this medium and this communication stream and this data pathway is, right? Imagine your life. There's a few of us listening and on the show right now that can honestly tell you what life was like before the internet at large, before AOL and Prodigy.
I don't like to admit that, but yes.
There are very few of us here that are able to discuss that with any sort of experience. It was a different place because there wasn't such a thing that like shut everything down. If the power went out, we had candles, we had flashlights and batteries, and it was, you know, fireplace.
We had a radio, right? Yeah,
right. Like the AM/FM band. Everybody had vinyl. Right, there wasn't a thing that controlled our lives, and it is essential at this point in our lives.
Oh yes, business alone.
Medicine,
international business and medicine would completely lock up.
Diplomacy. We've talked about.
Did we lose Brooks? Did we lose me? Uh-oh. All right, he's frozen. Okay. All right, I didn't know, and I was waiting for you guys to tell me what was going on. So yeah, I'm not a. It's starting. Yes. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm getting message that Brooks is the one that is frozen here. So I'm going to dump him from the broadcast and let him log back in. All right. Yeah. I plugged him back in. Did something get unplugged? Did he? That'd be crazy if seriously he got unplugged. But yeah. Let's see here. China hackers are preparing to wreak havoc and cause real world harm. Oh, I meant emotionally. Oh. Uh-oh. I don't know. Go check on him, Gigi. I don't want to skip ahead. I don't want to. Yeah, China is in the Matrix. No, it is scary though. The idea that how ingrained. Like what? Here we go. Like just like right now, we wouldn't be able to do this show if the internet were to not be around and exist. So I can hear him in there futzing with cables. I love that, futzing with cables. Futzing with Cables is a great comedy album in the early 80s. I forget the name of the comedian at this point, but I don't know what he did. It's not usually him that has the technical difficulties. This is weird. It's always me that has the technical difficulties. So it's weird for me to now have to like just sit here and be just the only guy on the screen. Like, hey guys, hey, let me keep you. So I'm gonna lean on you guys here to keep me everything. Ask me anything. I don't know what any of you out there watching that are on my page or on Brooks's page. Yeah, let's fill some time here. I'm doing great. No, I'm not. Oh, here we go. See, I filled enough time. And he's back.
I have not fallen out of a window.
Woo. Oh man, don't ever do that to me again.
Like, I don't know what happened there. Apparently I touched a nerve somewhere.
Yeah, maybe? I don't like being on my own. It's uncomfortable. I thought, because I thought about it. I've been thinking about like, what if I did like a daily little like, hey, let's talk about stuff. And I just now got a taste of it, and I would hate every fucking second of it. The only reason I like this is because I like talking to you about stuff.
Oh, that's the best thing anybody's ever said about me. Thank you, Ben.
I'm just saying.
Good night, everybody. It's not going to get any better than
this. So about those Chinese hackers.
It was announced just today. I don't know how far you got into the story, Ben.
I know we didn't. I was literally just vamping, and just because I didn't want to get into it, and I didn't know where you were going with it, and I was uncomfortable. It was awkward. Please, fun. I'm telling you, don't ever do that again.
Fun. Hey, it wasn't of my choosing. It just happened. Christopher Ray.
Yes, this guy right here behind the little play symbol.
Who looks like Christopher Nolan. kind of came out today and said basically Chinese hackers are preparing to, quote, wreak havoc and cause real world harm, end quote, to Americans. That was just today. Director Ray, along with the U.S. Cyber Command Commander General Paul Nakasone, Department of Homeland Security and Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agent Director Jen Easterly, and Harry Coker, also the director of the National Cyber Director Office, will be testifying in front of a House Select Committee on Chinese Communist Party. Look, we've talked a lot about our cybersecurity infrastructure and the various probings that have been going on. Again, via Russian counterparts. We haven't talked so much about, in this regard, this type of cyber espionage. We've talked about the Chinese who have stolen just about every type of business design, military secret you can possibly get your hands on.
Yeah, any technology, anything. Yeah.
That's just how they do business. This is different. This is very different in the fact that it is wreaking havoc and basically is telling you that, let me quote the good director. There has been far too little public focus on the fact that the PRC, Chinese hackers, are targeting our critical infrastructure, our water treatment plants, our electrical grid, our oil and natural gas pipelines, our transportation systems.
Are those important things?
No. And the risk that poses to every American that requires our attention now, says in selected testimony released by the FBI ahead of the hearing, which meant some of it was classified, basically.
Wow.
And we have unsubstantiated, corroborated reports. If you make sense of that.
That's a lot of words.
That is a good way of saying we're going to say it without any kind of legal repercussions. There is a well-known children's hospital in the city of Chicago that underwent a major, let's just say, outage this day.
Oh, really?
And hasn't really been. You know how I am. Like if I hear about something, folks. If you're not familiar with the thing formerly called as Twitter, used to be able to create something called a list, which was a specific set of people you followed for a specific whatever, right? Chicago hockey, bald men with beards, as we've talked about, right? I couldn't find a single peep about this, but I've got an inside source. That's the kind of thing we're talking about right now. In that,
wow, they were hacked.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever.
Right. But why is this important? Okay. So, if you want to look past the idea that an entire hospital, children's hospital, kind of shuts down or becomes almost paralyzed and becomes paper,
kind of a big deal.
Look, if my systems at my hospital go down, we are resorted to writing things down on paper.
Awesome.
And that orders for medication, for x-rays, or whatever. Everything goes back into what they go downtime mode, right? If all the systems are down, the internet goes away.
Right. You got to kind of revert back to the old school way.
Okay. Can you imagine the chaos that would be for it, whatever your job is? Whatever it is right now, without the internet or a functional computer system, how that would change your life, work life specifically, but life in general, right? There's no checking in with your pals on your cell phone or social media if the internet goes down, right? You can't. All of our text messaging is basically built on not traditional phone lines, but internet lines, right? Fiber optic, right? If that goes down, you can't text anybody if you're part of that network that goes down.
Right.
So you can imagine the horror that is happening at an undisclosed, alleged cyber attack children's hospital in the city of Chicago when the internet goes away.
Yeah.
I have experienced this as an X-ray tech in my career, and I don't know, it's fucking ugly.
Listen, next to a catastrophic natural event like a meteor strike or something, right? Short of that, or like what do we talk about, like the sunbursts or whatever that would knock out all the power.
Oh, like
some sort of
electromagnetic,
natural
right,
event.
right, sure.
What short of that, the internet going down is the most catastrophic thing that could happen to the human race at this point.
Paralyze anything and everything, and you can just see the
in the same way a natural event would, but like there wouldn't be like a giant sheet of ice dumped on top of everybody, or the weather wouldn't go crazy. But
I would argue that this would be more destructive than anything short of like the comet that like hits the earth that's so big it separates the planet. There's that kind of
right.
Because we are so dependent and interdependent on that specific line of communication. And if it's highly unlikely that the entire internet goes down, that would be odd, because there's backups legitimate, like
right.
Look, I think we've talked about like how subs have probed like internet cables underground, like underwater.
Yes, we did. Yeah, we did.
There are backups to those systems, right? So the entire internet going down, highly unlikely. But these localized strikes, and it's already become. We've talked about on the show that water treatment plant in Florida, that possibly deadly chemicals were released unbeknownst to anyone in that station via a cyber attack. They were hacked, and these deadly chemicals were released into the pool of water that was being recycled back into circulation for people to drink. That's what we're talking about here.
We've talked about the electrical grid being hacked. I mean, what catastrophic damage that would do.
So here's the FBI director saying, hey,
he is ringing the alarm for sure.
Speaking of alarms, this is what our good friend Tipton Moscow sent in. So I know you know him better than I do. So maybe you want to lead with this, because
this was an interesting one, because the headline, when you see it, state of emergency declared by downtown Portland, Oregon. Now, I think he's bringing this up to us because we talked about a few years ago back in another life. The city of Portland decriminalized drug use and drug possession. Remember? And so now here we are. I think it was what was it? Proposition 110 or some shit, if I remember correctly. I'm sure that this story will say it, but the headline leads you to believe that, well, holy shit, well, maybe this idea was a failure, right? Because here we are now. They're literally declaring a state of emergency in the state of Oregon. Fentanyl overdoses are so ridiculous at this point that the governor has come out and said, it's a literal state of emergency. So let's kind of check the story out. Several elected leaders in Oregon declared a state of emergency on Tuesday for downtown Portland over the public health and public safety crisis fueled by fentanyl. Oregon Governor Tina Kotek, Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler, and Multnomah County Chair Jessica Vega Peterson made the declaration for a 90-day period during which collaboration and response will come from a command center downtown. The three governments are directing their agencies to work with first responders in connecting people addicted to the synthetic opioid with resources, including drug treatment programs to crack down on drug sales. Now, that sounds like a proper use of a state of emergency. It's not that the law is failing or the lack of law is failing. They're just saying that this fentanyl thing is so out of control that we need a better way of responding to it. It's become so serious that we need to have this command center. But what I've seen a lot of people talking about in the media and on social media is, see, this is what happens when you decriminalize drugs. Your deaths are gonna go up. Overdose deaths are gonna go up. You got to penalize these people, and it's like you still don't get it. It's not that there are less addicts. It's not that the law is not working. It's that fentanyl has become such a big drug in the last few years.
Prevalent.
It's in the last few years, it's really skyrocketed, right? So almost it kind of worked against the law because it is a so much more deadly drug that you can't dabble with fentanyl. It is not something you can dabble with. And you are every time doing it, playing a very, very dangerous game of Russian roulette.
Mm-hmm.
And whether or not you are going to make it out the other side of that experience. And it has the idea that people won't take that journey and do that drug if they think they'll go to jail for doing it is entirely misguided and not understanding of what drug addiction is all about. That fear of going to jail is not going to deter people from getting addicted to drugs.
No, and let's be very clear about this. Like, addiction is a disease. It is a proven medical disease to either be psychologically or physiologically dependent on a substance. And that's what we are talking about here. Like, literally, mentally and physically is how this particular drug, fentanyl, grips these poor people. I think the important thing here to note, Ben, is the last paragraph in this article. And it goes, and President Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi announced that last fall, China was telling its chemical companies to restrict shipments to Latin America and elsewhere of the materials used to produce fentanyl, which is largely then finished in Mexico and smuggled into the U.S.
That is another great tentacle of this.
That's a system. That is literally, they are literally telling you there is an international, organized, systemic process, organized to bring the innocuous elements to create a chemical into a certain area where that is then finished off, cooked properly, whatnot, and then processed, sent into another country. That is beyond the idea of Al Capone's wildest dreams as far as like the way an organized crime syndicate could operate. This is an international effort.
No, 100%. And another part of this off of this last paragraph is that last part, which is largely finished in Mexico and then smuggled into the US. And now you'll hear this piece of information be used as a reason to argue against immigration from that border.
Oh, I cut out an immigration story because I knew it would take the rest of that.
And I don't want to go off too far on a tangent here on this, but
it has
that's another false narrative, because we talked about this, I believe, last week. I know we've talked about it recently because we read it in a story and I remember remembering it, is that most of the fentanyl that is smuggled over the border, according to US Border Patrol and Customs, most of the fentanyl that is smuggled over is smuggled by American citizens.
Absolutely. Look, I mean,
don't forget that when they tell you that narrative that, oh, you got to shut down the borders because of the fentanyl. It's mostly American citizens that are bringing it over. They're not packing it in the backpacks of little girls and their mothers trying to get away from cartel crime.
I mean, it might
in
be
Guatemala,
but that's child abuse, and those people.
Correct. They're not in on it.
Right.
So take the fucking razor wire down, assholes.
Yeah, that's we haven't talked enough about.
But whatever. I don't want to get stuck there because we got. Well, let's talk about these opioids though, because let's not stray too far.
Speaking of fentanyl and just drugs in general, right? Probably the last place you'd want to see a really seriously cool lineup of drugs at is the White House. And another place that you'd really don't want to see those drugs being passed out like it was a bump factory party is the White House. But what we've now found out and have been reported by NBC News, it sounds like it was just that. Washington, D.C., hello. The White House medical unit has severe and systemic problems with its pharmacy operations and provided health care to ineligible staffers before the Biden administration. According to...
Hold on.
Wait. Let me finish the sentence.
Okay.
Before the Biden administration, according to a scathing report by the Defense Department's Office of Inspector General. Ben, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to highlight, say, before the Biden administration.
I'm fairly certain they were speaking of the Andrew Jackson administration.
Yes. Andrew Jackson was getting prescribed way too many opioids.
We all knew Abe Lincoln had a side gig. You know what I'm saying? Right? Of course, they're referencing the Trump administration, but just didn't have the balls to say it. Yeah. The multi-year investigation was prompted by a 2018 complaint alleging senior military medical officer in the White House clinic had, quote, engaged in improper medical practices, end quote. The probe included on-site visits and focused on a 3-year period during the Trump administration, as well as employee interviews going back to 2009. That becomes like an important thing to note, is the 2009 thing. So hang on for that. This is a quote from a report that was released this month. The White House medical unit dispensed prescription medications, including controlled substances, to ineligible White House staff, said the report.
Hey, nothing to see here.
Look, if we change, let's go back to basic grammar. If we change the subjects in that sentence to, I don't know, random minority group.
Right.
Where are those people right now?
Oh, in prison.
Thank you. Yes. Anyway, the story goes on. The unit also kept records for Schedule II drugs, such as fentanyl, hydrocodone, morphine, and oxycodone. In the same inventory that housed records for medications, according to report, even though federal regulations required them to be reported separately, because they're Schedule 1, Schedule 2, and Schedule 3 drugs. For some reason, heroin obviously is Schedule 3, but marijuana is also Schedule 3. A lot of these narcotics that are heavily abused, that we consider the opiate crisis, are Schedule 2. Now, I do want to point out that the story does name Representative Republican House member from Texas, Ronnie Jackson, was the White House physician during this time. But he was also the physician during the Barack Obama years. That's why the 2009 thing is important. And you might hear that now as a talking point or talk back point regarding this story. It's fantastic that NBC kind of pointed this out. The story goes on to describe that the White House bought the brand name version of a lot of drugs like Ambien. I've never heard of Provigil, but apparently that's like a Adderall on steroid stimulant. Let me repeat that for the audience. That is an Adderall on steroids stimulant.
Whoa. I've taken Adderall, and I can't imagine what Adderall on steroids would be like. Holy shit.
So the story starts to focus on like, oh, the cost. Fuck the costs.
Yeah.
We're a $1 trillion economy. Fuck the costs. It's $100,000 that, oh, they paid extra. I don't care. You probably pay more extra for Post-it notes.
Right. If we really want to do a true audit of what you pay too much for, you don't really want to open that can of worms, I don't think.
Newsweek had the story, and where I was like, wait, what? Orders, again, from our friends at Newsweek, orders of significant quantities of drugs such as fentanyl by the White House medical unit under the Trump administration have led to questions as to why it procured the controlled substances and what they were intended for.
I'm sorry, what?
The first 9 months of 2019, which had to have been one hell of a party.
Yeah.
The first 9 months of 2019, the medical unit, which is responsible for tending to the medical needs of the White House staff, made 4 separate orders for fentanyl, 2 orders of morphine, and further 2 orders of ketamine, and received 34 packets of fentanyl over the period. Records show 9 months.
In 9 months? Okay, so who was
This is how we do it.
I mean, the speculation is this is for Trump himself, right?
That would kill anybody, any one person. I'm assuming.
Right. It's got to. Yeah, it can't be for just one guy. But
think about
they were
the rotating.
Wow. So they were passing around fentanyl. Like what? Like they should have to account. Like why is nobody asking? The next time that Trump opens up questions to the media, why is no one going to ask him, hey, what did you do with the absorbent amount of drugs like fentanyl and morphine and ketamine that your administration ordered to the White House for White House staff while you were president? Can you please tell us who those drugs were for, please?
So this kind of throws a little bit of speculation to the big deal that was made about the cocaine that was found, right?
Yeah, we're talking about Hunter Biden's drug problems, right? Everyone is focused about how Hunter Biden's a drug addict. There's evidence that there was a large amount of opiate abuse going on in the White House, signed off on by the medical staff.
This is a quote, and I haven't found this quote from anywhere else but Newsweek, so we're gonna run with it. This is from Nick Mark, which could be a made-up name. I don't know.
Yes,
alleged medical doctor based in Seattle, Washington. But he wrote. He was the only one, and I think there's like handwritten records that Versed was used. But here's the quote: "For a clinic that doesn't typically do procedures with moderate sedation, they sure are ordering prodigious quantities of morphine, fentanyl, Versed, and ketamine." I'm going to stop the quote right there. Back to the fact that I'm an X-ray tech. Did you know that? I worked in a pain clinic setting where people would get injections to try to help with like back pain, spine pain. And it is I've seen the effects of Versed, and I'm talking about 0.5 milliliter or 0.5 cc of Versed in a patient. Well, let me tell you this. That shit is a fucking trip. And I say that
I never heard of it.
Versed, Versed.
Yeah, that's the first time I thought Versed when I first saw it. Like Verse, what the fuck is that?
When you get Versed, that is instant out. Like,
no shit.
It's powerful.
What are they doing with it at the White House?
Are they performing minor procedures that includes like putting a needle into somebody's spinal cavity and injecting medicine?
And if so, who are they doing that to, and why?
It is sometimes given in as a kind of go to sleep
what is going
anesthesia
on there
before surgery, before they give you the big stuff, as to like a knock you out kind of stuff. That's how quick and powerful Versed is.
Wow.
Ben, all of these drugs, all of them, every single one of them screams, well, I don't do cocaine. I don't do any illegal drugs.
Those are really powerful though, man. Like that's not oxy. I mean, it's not oxy, right? You know what I mean? Like that's bad enough. It's the even more powerful shit,
because
man.
it's, and I don't know Versed in a non-injectable form. That's the other thing.
What is going on at the White House in 2019?
The first 9 months. Again, this story was focused on the first 9 months of 2019.
What was going on? No one's going to ask. No one's going to fucking ask this guy. He's never going to be held to account for this by anyone. But they'll rail on the drug problem. They'll rail on the
victims,
the border.
the addicted.
Yeah,
the ill.
Yeah, they'll rail on the fact that we gotta shut down the borders because of the fentanyl. Our fucking president is ordering this shit. Like it's off of a fucking menu. Like it's room service. And no one seems to fucking care.
Bingo. That's a great way of saying it. It is room service for these people. These are rich white people drugs. Let's be very clear about this. Rich, affluent white people drugs. So as opposed to saying like doing cocaine, you can snort Adderall and be like, well, I don't do cocaine. I don't do cocaine. Who does these terrible drugs? Meanwhile,
I don't do heroin. That's a dirty
right,
drug.
but I'll inject fentanyl and Versed. Right? Okay, so let's reverse course and by like 180 degrees, because I think we need a little bit right here, right? We've covered a lot of stories in the past where there have been government initiatives, either funded privately or publicly, to provide basically a universal income. Right?
UBI, baby.
And here is another story, just one more scientific story that proves that when disadvantaged, I almost said poor, I don't want to say that, but disadvantaged people are given a monthly stipend, they don't spend it on what a large portion of the media or reactionary people think they spend it on. In fact, most of them spent it on rent.
Yeah. Surprise, surprise.
Let's review Maslow's pyramid. At the very base is like food and shelter, right? These aren't commodities. These are rights. They're not. These are basic necessities of anybody. And here we are with just one more study, one more piece of evidence that says
it'll fall on deaf ears, unfortunately.
Program works. It works. All of your complaints. I don't mean your complaints, Thunderdome.
Right.
I'm talking about
yours in the general.
All of your complaints about people sucking off the system and taking your tax dollars and everything. And here we are giving these disadvantaged people at least a leveling stipend. At least
$1,000 a month is nothing.
In a lot of cases, it could be after
very little.
Uh,
It'll be and I can understand why it went to rent, right? Because rents are too damn high.
But if you don't have other choices, and
no,
you have a studio apartment in a smaller city, where $1,000 can at least pay for half or maybe all of your rent, and then you can at least then start affording childcare,
right?
And all the other things.
It is something. UBI, universal basic income, is something that we are, as automation and robotics, which we have talked about and seen videos on, and talked about how AI and robotics together they're going to make a lot of jobs irrelevant for human beings. And we're going to have to come to grips and come to accept the idea that a universal basic income, it is inevitable. We at some point there will not be enough jobs for all the people that need to make an income. That's when they start automating like trucks to carry goods from one place to another, when that job, for instance, no longer needs humans,
or they figure
on a
out
large scale,
like trains make a lot more sense, and we just need to build more railroads for that to be,
whatever the case may be, right? Or technology is going to replace
everything. It always
corporations. Capitalists are going to look for ways to cut down their labor costs. It is keep labor costs low, keep profits high. That's the name of the game for these people. So any bit of technology, they are investing in technology and technology companies to come up with ways to replace people that do labor with robotics that they don't have to pay, that don't break down, that don't get old, that, you know what I mean? Like
they don't have to pay healthcare or pension for, or
right, exactly. They don't call in sick. All of those things. They are looking for ways to replace their human labor. Make no mistake about it. The more manufacturing, as much of it as it can be, is already automated. There's not going to be enough.
That
jobs.
legit goes back to like the textile, like when things were made by big weaves and like humans, the Luddites, and like
right.
France, big factories that built textiles and shirts and fabric were evil and of the devil, and it was a whole big thing. This is actually nothing new for us. It's our fears of technology replacing what we think we should be doing, when in reality is AI should be doing all of the work for us and robots should be doing all the fucking work for us. We watched last week a robot zapping weeds in a farm field. Yes, we human beings should be exploring other planets, the deep sea, creating art, writing songs, poetry, and just generally getting along.
Right. The idea is you automate those things, and then the profits then are distributed not just to one person or stockholders, but to the entire community.
We're not
that benefits from it.
We're not going to war when everybody has enough.
Right.
Bottom line.
Great point. Great way to put
that.
It's
just and it lessens the role of government in our lives.
And I do want to point out, Gigi points. I want to make sure I make my point. I understand. Yes, $1,000 to someone who doesn't have a whole lot of money. It is a lot. I'm saying it's not a lot of money, in that people need way more help than that, right? Like a universal $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month is, with the way the cost of goods, inflation, all of those things, like that isn't probably enough, right? If you were to have a universal basic income, you would need more than that to live on. $5,000 a month is probably the minimum.
If you can afford a penthouse, you should be able to afford it, but it shouldn't lock people out from basic living. And if you need a 2-bedroom apartment somewhere, it shouldn't cost you anything. Seriously, the benefit to society if everybody is able to get education, have clothing, shelter, food, all those basic needs. I mentioned Maslow's pyramid. Check it out. Maslow's pyramid. It's lasted. It was like the 60s, I think. It's been vetted out. If people have those things, the higher ideologies and the greater good come to fruition. Period. You just need to be able to have a solid place to go home and sleep at. Make sure you get enough food that you don't go hungry, and you have some socks on your feet, for goddamn sake. Right? It's not much to ask, truly. But we're stuck in this game of thinking the other people are worse and the other people need to be taught a lesson and all of those trappings that we get. But here we are again, proof that when you provide the basic needs,
they're not going to spend it on bullshit.
Things work out. Sure, were there aberrations to that study? Yes.
Of course,
was there somebody that took that grand a month and spent it frivolously and whatever? Yeah, but an overwhelming majority, and the studies keep proving an overwhelming majority of people, when given this stipend, this basic universal income, they spend it wisely on things that sustain them, their families, and make them productive members of society, whatever that means, which isn't a bad thing, and what we're all kind of going for, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think we should skip a couple things here, Ben, because they're kind of.
That's fine. I'm fine with that.
I want to. Why don't we just go right to Elmo? Because we're not ready for a certain story there, because it's going to make everybody cry. I don't want to do that. No, so let's do Elmo. Ben, did you? I'm still active on the old Twitter X now. Did you?
Not much at all.
Elmo sent a tweet. You know how Elmo's not thinking about the big things, right? It's Elmo.
That guy.
He literally has a registered blue check Twitter account. I follow the Cookie Monster. There's no relation. Elmo sent out a tweet that said, "How is everybody doing?" But the message came from Elmo, not the furry red friend to kids, Muppets, and everyone else. And Elmo is known as on Sesame Street and Bond capacity of care. Responses flooded in from X and Instagram, Threads, and Facebook. Conversations sparked on Reddit and elsewhere. People unburdened themselves, and Elmo took it all in. On X alone, Elmo received 180 million views.
Jesus.
By Wednesday. Like noon. One of Elmo's earliest check-in messages was posted on Twitter, where Elmo asked last Friday how people were doing. "Just on my way to buy some balsamic vinegar," came one popular reply to Elmo, which responded, "Hope it's yummy." Another reply, "I'm okay. I hope you are too." Elmo replied, "Elmo loves you." Other notes wished Elmo a happy Friday. But then the weekend was over, and when Elmo echoed his question on X and other platforms on Monday, things took a turn. Quote, "Not well, Elmo. They done raised rent and everything. At this point, I'm coming to live with you on Sesame Street." That was from Baby Girl Rowway.
I know her.
Elmo responded, "Elmo would love that. #neighbors." Another reply, "Elmo, I'm having a rough time. Love you though." That was from Weatherwoman1213. Elmo replied, "Elmo hopes you're doing okay. Elmo loves you today and every day."
On
X. Like, imagine the person behind this account.
Right, you have to have a really good heart.
You are the official
You are officially Elmo.
A Sesame Street PBS property, right? I believe even Jim Henson, right? Like there's legal ramifications behind your blue check.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Right. Like you have to be very, very calculated in your responses.
So a reoccurring theme popped up as adults remarked how affirming it was to see Elmo connect with his friends. Quote, all the love to Sesame Street team for taking care of us grown children, a commenter wrote on Instagram. Quote, we may be chronologically outside of the demographic, but we never left the street. Thank you. Even President Biden weighed in on Tuesday, stating our friend Elmo was right. We should have been there for our friends, offer our help to our neighbor in need, and above all else, ask for help when we need it. In his responses, the article goes on. Let's be honest. In moments he was introduced in the 1980s, Elmo has shown that he exemplifies three of the most important attributes of a therapist, as defined by the influential 20th century psychologist Carl Rogers. The driving force behind the person-centered therapy, which, if you're in therapy, it's kind of what you experience. Rogers' list starts with congruence, meaning authentically and genuineness being real. The two core qualities for a therapist, he said, are acceptance that comes from unconditional positive regard and empathy that comes from understanding the other person. While Elmo hasn't been able to reply to every message on his accounts, his responses are winning praise, considering his answer to a student on Instagram who asked, I don't want to go to class, Elmo. I'm in need of words of encouragement. Elmo replied, you could do it. Try to make a new friend today. That will make class extra fun, and tomorrow you will be extra excited to see them. To that, another user replied, bro, that's actually such good advice, LOL. Think about what was just said.
Yeah, it's great.
It's a fucking Twitter account
for a
fucking puppet muppet, right? That like and Elmo, right? We've bought and given away like shitty Elmo characters to our friends who have like children, right? Across the times. And here's somebody behind this Twitter account giving legit advice to people that makes sense. And I hope everybody takes interest and finds Elmo on your socials, because apparently it's a real deal. And we like to cover stories like this. And
that's good stuff. That's heartwarming.
Gonna jump to one more story before we get to my dad and Ma Jordan's favorite segment. I know you're waiting for it. We often talk about elephants on the show,
or hippos, yep, or goats.
Every once in a while, we love all of the things.
Right, we like animals here.
Period.
Let's be honest.
And originally, not gonna lie, this story was meant to kind of bring us up after a super sad, happy story that was guaranteed to bring tears to everybody. I even teared up watching it in my pre-show before I even jumped on with Ben.
I'm glad we're not watching it. I'm not really in the mood to do that.
We're not going to do that because it's great, but it's sad. Maybe some other time. Of this little elephant, this spunky little orphan elephant is so cute.
If they stayed that size, I would own one. I'm telling you.
So cute. But I want to point out that this is another elephant from the Sheldrick Trust, the Sheldrick Wildlife Trust.
Where's that located? Because I feel Kenya. Like eventually I'm going to have to take my wife.
We're going to Kenya. Let's go. I'm serious.
Let's do it.
Let's plan it
for real. Like the four of us.
Whoever wants to go. Anybody listening?
Anyway, Topic Thunder trip. Yeah.
Topic Thunder hyphen Kenya.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. Kenya.
I'm in. I'll do it. fuck it.
The cool thing about this is that little elephant has its own little personality, right? Little baby.
Look at those ears.
Right.
Come on.
But look what it's doing. And then look at the elephant that's in the foreground there. This little elephant is running away from the pack. And again, keep watching it. 6 seconds. We're just keep replaying it. That the lone soul adult elephant starts turning towards it like, oh shit, what are you doing?
Hey, get back here, you little shit.
God damn it. You're not gonna be running away from
Yeah, not this time, fucker. Get back.
That's all I'm thinking when I see this. Is like, oh shit.
It's like me. It's me chasing after my son if we go to the grocery stores.
Right. Okay. Perfect analogy. Right. Because that's, I think, what's going on right here. Look at that little guy. So cute.
Yeah. Yes.
Elephants are awesome. And we need to work on the Tropic Thunder Kenya thing.
Exactly. You know what else is awesome?
What? Folks, that noise can only mean one thing. It's the lightning round. It must be 8:15 in Central Standard Time because here we are. It's my dad and my Jordan's favorite segment. Dare I say, I think it's Gigi's favorite segment too. And I can tell by the thunderbolts going up in the world's most dangerous chat zone, the Thunderdome, that it's your favorite segment too. Folks, it's an exercise in democracy. You know the rules. 3 stories enter. 1 story is read, and you, the people, choose. So, without any dilly or dally or a very mediocre Bane accent, here is story number 1. Amish horse and buggy stolen from Walmart parking lot while family shopped. Headline number 2. Fish bandit arrested for taping fish to ATM machines. Headline number 3. Woman falls into dumpster while tossing garbage. Gets compacted inside trash truck in New Hampshire.
Oh no! This is a tough. This might be one of the toughest ever.
It's like 2024.
Wow,
so,
we got to hear those again. Like sometimes we don't necessarily have to hear them again, but I feel like we have to hear all those again to just kind of totally wrap our brains around. Although Biz is already like, "Fuck it, I know which one I want."
It is kind of stunning. So let's review this.
Yeah, the headlines themselves are very interesting.
Headline number 1. Amish horse and buggy stolen from Walmart parking lot while family shopped.
Seems like a scene out of an 80s movie.
Or a Weird Al video. Headline number 2. Fish bandit arrested for taping fish to ATM machines.
Why? What is that about?
Right? That's a good gimmick. Headline number 3. Woman falls into dumpster while tossing garbage. Gets compacted inside trash truck in New Hampshire.
I feel like Fish Bandit should be a new character that appears in Super Wrestlers soon.
On March 10th here in the fine city of Chicago, Super Wrestlers.
Plug.
Absolutely a plug.
I haven't seen Billy Wag. Usually he'll show up as you least expect it during the lightning round. He won't say anything all fucking show, and then you'll think, oh, maybe Billy Wag's not with us today, and then bam, there he is. But maybe he's busy tonight.
We have a remix.
Yes, Buggy Jacked, Florida Man Fishes, and Trashed 2 Ways.
All right, Ryan Hansen with the remix here. Not a lot of votes. I know there are more people currently.
All right, there we go.
And we're sitting.
Although the voting is close,
we are sitting at a tie.
2 for 1.
So I know there are more. Francesco, where'd you go? Did you drop out because we're not talking about CM Punk's busted arm and his fragile body? Yes. Oh, sorry. Did I say that?
Yeah, I don't know. We may have lost some people along the way.
Bobby Suzuki
dropped in for a minute. Yeah, where's Bobby Suzuki?
Bobby, where are you? Bobby, where are you at?
We lost some people.
That's okay.
It's all right.
It happens.
Oh, there is a tie though.
There is.
So we need somebody to break the tie between number 1 and number 3. Somebody out there. Don't make me
one of you folks, because otherwise, yes.
Just there we go. Ryan Hansen, boom,
comes in with a vote.
Unless somebody else jumps in out of nowhere and votes for number 1 and really fucks things up.
We're gonna give it.
We're gonna go with.
I think we're gonna give it a good old 3, 2, 1. So are you ready? A 3,
yes,
a 2, a 1.
Voting is closed.
Manchester, New Hampshire. Hello. A woman fell into a dumpster while throwing out her garbage and was later rescued from a trash truck that had compacted the contents while she was inside, fire department officials said in New Hampshire. Luckily, neighbors heard her screams, and the trash compartment was equipped with a camera. Let's stop right there. The trash compartment had a camera in it. It's the surveillance society that we're in right now.
They're surveilling. Yeah, they're surveilling. Even they're surveilling the garbage.
There are cameras everywhere because the NSA wants to know when life is good for me.
That's crazy.
The driver spotted the woman stuck inside and called 911. Like, how do you?
I mean, I guess they have cameras in there for exactly this reason, right?
Which means we don't deserve what we have.
I do want to see the video too. Does the link have the video by chance?
I don't think it does. Let me
not. I
don't. Ben, let me send it to you as we because I've got that chat window open. It's just a little click away. I actually have to click the right thing. I
can't imagine that they released that video.
It's probably sensitive.
Yeah.
Luckily, neighbors heard the screams and trash covered the camera. The driver spotted the woman stuck inside and called 911. By then, the driver, quote, had reportedly compacted the garbage up to 4 times, the Manchester Fire Department said in a news release. Rescuers used a basket ladder to reach the top of the truck and lift her out. By then, she was, quote, standing, talking, yelling.
I bet.
But was not alert enough to answer questions, the news release said. The woman was taken to the hospital on Monday after her misadventures. I like that way they described that.
A misadventure.
Her misadventures. Yeah. Her name was not released. Quote, in 32 years, I've never seen anything like this in my whole career, Battalion Chief Bob Boudet told WMUR-TV. It's alarming because you really don't think it's true. Which calls into question, how did she get into a trash can in the first place?
Right. They didn't really tell us how she got there to begin with.
We're all savvy to this gimmick, right? We know the type of trash can when a garbage truck comes and like picks it up and dumps it off.
You have to try to fall into one.
Like, there's no accident to that.
No.
There's no like.
No, I agree with you.
I've drank too much. I've had too much. I'm gonna go pass out.
You did not purposely. Yeah, you did not. It was on purpose, or it was not accidental. You didn't you weren't walking past the fucking dumpster and tripped and fell into the dumpster. That's not what happened. For sure.
It did not. So how did you get it in there in the first place? Right here in Topic Thunder, it's like the face-off circle here, ladies and gentlemen. As we wrap up the show, we really appreciate you joining us here tonight in the Hockey Canada world in Topic Thunder. It's a special place, and we all know you're on the Thunderdome there, and we all appreciate that. Of course, in our typical Canadian condolences to all those who signed off beforehand without
maple syrup.
Hey, look, maple syrup's a delicious thing, and I won't hear you besmirch
the maple leaves, eh?
Oh, don't be talking about the Leafs now. It's a complicated
That's the
situation.
extent of my Canadian accent. Sorry.
Yeah, and none of it's good. None of it's good except the content of the show and the goodwill of the Thunderdome. That's you. You make the show happen. So, folks, dump the jersey. No, Dad, that's a great jersey. You gotta love the North Star.